Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Friday, August the 3rd, 2018, and I'm with my friends, BZ Rieger and Lisa Flamino Rush. Welcome, ladies. It has been such a wild 3 days since we turned over into August. And it seems like every single day something new is new and different and exciting. I have to say I had a phone call today from a friend that I hadn't spoken to in a bit, and they were telling me all these different things that were going on in their life, right? And so I was just kind of listening and holding space, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard some things that that they were relaying to someone in their family a little younger, some advice that they were giving to this younger person that was doing some things that sounded very similar to some things that this friend of mine has been doing for a while. Very similar things. And I was amazed at the advice that was being given to the person. And I said, you realize what that was? I said, that was so beautiful. It was so beautiful what the direction and the advice that you gave. I said, you realize that that's your soul speaking through you to that person who's actually mirroring things for you. So you heard that for you too, right? And actually they did, apparently. And I said, I'm so excited for you. I said, I know that might sound kind of silly because you've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up, and it's very intense and all, but I'm really excited for you because here's this moment where your soul spoke directly through you to a younger person that was actually another you, mirroring for you some things that you have going on. Your soul was speaking to you as well. And it was such a great conversation, first of all. And it is very exciting because I think things like that are happening all over. But of course, so I'm tending to focus on how excited I am for them, and all the while, they're like, "You're excited? My life is falling apart."
Yes.
And I asked this particular person, I said, I hope you can kind of feel into why I'm excited. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that person actually did feel that. It was like, on one level, he could see this portion of his life that was falling apart and recognize that and be in the midst of all that. But there were also things that he had relayed about that situation and other situations that were happening where he could see that these things were coming up for healing. And he actually said that to me. So it was a very exciting day for me, again, on one level. You hear about but it's that whole everything coming up thing, I feel.
Well, it's just as we talked about before, your multidimensionality is showing, which this is apt here, but also, your choice point, the easy way or the hard way is showing. So, hey, it's showing. And, I didn't realize I was choosing, but I can see now I chose the hard way, kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I think too, even for myself, there are some things I've chosen the easy way, and there are still some things that I am noticing that I might have been choosing maybe a little harder way than I had to. Not a whole lot for me personally right now, but I am still seeing some things. It's not like I got all my crap in a row,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been really kind of I don't know. I'm just so damn excited about everything. Everything is.
It's exciting, and it's you bring that up. It's hard sometimes because I have had a bunch of we were playing with the title floods, fires, and breakdowns. Oh my, and that's what's going on. But so it's been a big day. A lot of stuff is happening, and including some of those things on the list I just gave. Not to me personally, but that I've been coming into contact with different people and having a direct kind of on the side experience and over the phone and this, that, and the other thing. And it's, on the one hand, I'm thrilled, but I'm also, depending on the situation and who the being is and the other circumstances, navigating in how much and when I can show that excitement and kind of have a primer on, okay, now this is what you just told me has gone on, and ask some specific questions related to, okay, now hang on, this part of the story, what were you feeling? What prompted you here? What made you make that decision or come to that thought? Which is, prompting the other people to actually dissect the thing instead of it just was a big cluster fuck. And no, hang on, there's something bigger at work here. There's something actually very magical at work here and exciting. But we have to clear through all the stuff that's there. And what was even more exciting was and I did this with a couple people today, but one in particular, as they went through this and started to see by answering the questions of, well, what were you feeling or what prompted you, or that's not the normal way you would, respond to something like that. So what was the difference, And when the light bulb started to go on, because I was kind of getting them actually as if we were, they were watching through the lens of a camera. And they were watching, so I'm going to pull back a little wider. Let's say if you're watching a movie, the movie pulls out and they have a wider angle shot of something. And so metaphorically and actually within the process of the conversation, they could do that as well. And they were fascinated and at what they were seeing and the inarguability of it. In other words, they could no longer brush it off as this or that or the other coincidence or this or the other thing, because all I did was take their data that they had relayed and relayed it back to them and said, okay, well, this happens and this happens and this happens, and wow. And when I did it that way, they could see the string of different things. And I said, but there really are no coincidences. They could see it. So there's actually occurs to me now, there's a couple of really cool things happening within this topic that we're playing with. One, that even though it may look like, that building is on fire, oh my God, that's a really bad thing, right? It's not, because you can move to a different thing. And yes, there may be some damage in there, or a flood or whatever it is. But you can actually, if you open up, so here's what's going on. If you open up to what's actually unfolding, you mitigate the damage. You actually change what, on the one hand, you would look as, well, that was an accident or that was a big thing breaking. But how you react to it will actually, in the physical manifestation, change how the brokenness is. No, actually, that's just crumpled, and you just do this, and look, it's all better. I mean, literally, I've watched this happen in 4 different places in the last, today especially, but yesterday, the day before as well, since this August energy.
Yeah, there's a couple of things about what you've just shared with us there that for me, I was like, are huge. And I want to make sure that I voice them here because one of the things that hit me about the way that you were telling your experience in put me very much in mind of what is going on with Q.
Mm-hmm.
You're not telling anything, you're asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I noticed about what you're doing. Most, I mean, I've not done that sort of a thing. That's different for me. I like that because, it's.
But I'm not interrogating.
No, but no, what it is, what I noticed, well, for me, what I noticed about what you were doing, stimulating critical thought in the person that you're engaging with. That is all.
Mm-hmm.
Not a leading, not a, just a query, just, and I like that. I wanted to make sure that I brought that out because I don't think I've approached things in that manner. And I like that way because because that's really why this great awakening has taken place, because what's been going on with all the Q stuff is causing folks to say, what the hell is he talking about? And they're going and looking for themselves.
After they whine and say, why can't you just give me the answers?
Well, true. There
and all sorts of, that's part of the process. And one of the answers, whether it's Q or anything else, and that's just a tip of many icebergs that are all coming together in a giant snow globe, right? But it's an inside job.
No, exactly.
So the all has to come from each individual.
Well, no, exactly.
And that's the beauty of it.
That's why I'm saying that I think that, for me, I think that's been the beauty of all of it anyway. And that's what I noticed in what you were just relating there. Because it's a multi-layered thing. And if, someone's just approaching something from one perspective, really by asking those questions, just the question shifts the perspective.
Right.
To, oh, well, maybe I didn't think about it like that before. And that's why I think I enjoy conversating so much, because it stimulates that process.
Mm-hmm.
For me, and I can't be the only one. I know I'm unique, we all are, but I cannot be the only one that happens for, obviously, or this great awakening wouldn't be occurring the way it is.
One thing this is brought to my mind, part of the situation that we're dealing with here is people are not accustomed to thinking.
No, that's true.
Or feeling, yeah.
Your volume is kind of low too, Lisa, just so you know. Sorry.
Every system that we have takes the place of that. And as I was thinking about this the other day, as the actual physical structures begin to disappear, right? And like the crumbling now that is taking place actually takes place. People are going to be like dumbfounded, I feel, because of the dependence. Mm-hmm. And when you are accustomed to being told what to think and how to feel and how to behave, and that is something that you actively engage in, then you are attached to those things. So as they fall now, people will not know what to be attached to is kind of what came in for me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like about what you're doing, BZ, is you're teaching people how to attach to themselves,
Right.
how to go within, how to think and to feel their way through the situation, which is so important right now, more so than absolutely anything. So I love the way that you describe doing that, because it's very natural. And I feel like, well, in some ways I've already been doing that, but I feel like now I can see more ways that I can apply that to, helping just with, like you were saying, the critical thinking piece,
Mm-hmm.
because that's going to be really, really important for moving forward.
Right. And if I was to kind of, I don't think about doing that. I just do that. So it's cool, Sheila, that you pointed that out, because I was just relaying the thing and not thinking to
No, I know you weren't. That's why I wanted to make sure I pulled that out, because that's very well, it's very helpful for one thing.
And in teasing it out now, as listening to both of you talk about it, it's actually, who thought, a good illustration of, one, you're not selling anything. Two, you're actually having a connection. So there is coherence and connection with the person. And with that connection, you're letting them know, although it's in an oblique way, what you noticed from what information they gave you, what you noticed. But you're actually getting them not only to be and experience it, re-experience it, right, with those other questions in a multidimensional way. So not just what did you do or what happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, but okay, in whatever this was, and it doesn't matter. So every metaphor is different. In this part right here, in the story, and what happened, what prompted you to do or not do that, right? What and because that, well, what it actually does, especially when you create that energetic envelope, which I did, always doing this, but in this, so it's now back in that moment. So you invite them and hold the space for them to step back into right this moment that I'm talking about. So right there, and it's almost like they're in a room. Picture, the holodeck on the Enterprise comes to mind, and they can kind of look around and go, oh yeah, I could see. Well, there was this is just a funny example, but there was a bird chirping in the tree over there. And this, because they don't have to know how to do it. They don't even have to know what the hell multidimensionality is. I mean, you don't have to worry about any of that. It actually will take place because it cannot not happen right now. Since we've clicked over into August, it's just the way it is. Cannot not happen.
Say what, Lisa?
Surfs up.
Right.
And how? Yes, bigly it is.
You were in high 20, I think, instead of high 10 or hang 10 or whatever
Yes, hanging on with the fingers and the toes. Well, no, that's part of the issue. There's folks hanging on with fingers and toes.
Look,
I'm about down to maybe, I don't know how many. I still got a few, but I do get to go in the flow sometimes. But I'm really glad that we went down that road, actually, because that's I think it's very interesting to me, and it was very important that we point that out for me personally, because I've never approached anything like that, but it has affected the way that Q has structured all of his drops. To me, has been very clear to me, though. There's a lot of talk as to why and all of that, and I get that national security stuff, but the way that it was done has been so beneficial, because it's like a lot of folks were finding out information for themselves.
Right. And look at something you just said right this minute. Okay. Beautifully. So I understand why he's done the ways that, national security and all that. Yep. That's a great linear placeholder excuse for why it's done. That's not the
That's
real.
right.
That's,
right.
It's like trust the plan and,
I was going to say, Q is multidimensional, so
they are. That's right. They're on and off planet. Yeah.
Well,
and that again is getting people to see.
Yes.
With all those things, and again, I put some of the stuff up on a recent post just on the Q, but that's a good metaphor. You can dive into the actuality of it, but you can also look at it as a metaphor. That there's no coincidence that on there's 2 articles I put in there about how the different Anons were researching could then see that the trip codes and this and that and the other thing were actually books. Okay, so yeah, that you could say, well, that's really cool and blows you away, but then see further and see the way they come out. So there's no coincidence that Ramtha, and it's not that it's just Ramtha, but that of that nature, right, happened to be the first one. Why? Because there's a real clue right there. It's not just on this planet, and it's not just the last 2 years, and it's not just the Republican Party, and it's not all those not justs, right? It goes, this is what's all being shown. Just how, again, connected, and I don't know if I didn't put it up yet because things were kind of going haywire, but there was something that was on the, I think it was a couple days ago. The 31st, yeah, that was a busy day. That there was just a subtle, regarding Tennessee, there was a subtle drop of a photograph. You could see that Q dropped, and you could see part of Trump's signature, unmistakable, but it says, number 1776. Well, some people look, well, that the post from Q happens to be 1776. Well, that's a coincidence. Oh, well, maybe, and there's some quote, by John Adams. Okay, fine, great. But if people are talking about shout outs and nods, and as Q has been saying, the president is talking to us, meaning all of the planet, right? Okay. So, and Trump wrote this, right? So what I was going to do when I posted it was, can anybody think where there would be a correlation between 1776 and something they might be following, on IUB and in Tennessee?
As a matter of fact, my friend Lisa pointed that out immediately.
Yeah. So tell us, Lisa, because a lot of people are going, what?
That's a nod to Heather. I'm so excited. Well, that refers to her original documents, I guess. You could describe that better than me. But with the
1776 Trust is what it was called.
One People's Public Trust 1776 is the name of it.
That's right.
So and that whole, what's that report? The
Paradigm Report.
Paradigm Report. To me, that's all. That's it. That's the whole thing.
That's a nod to all of that, and quite frankly, I have seen something somewhere, and I apologize. I can't remember where it was exactly. It was probably something you sent me, Lisa, or something that that someone actually did do a Twitter post, and they put #universal cleanup right underneath that picture. So I don't know who did it. I can't remember where I saw it. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I just dreamed that I saw it, but I feel like I saw that somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry. Since August, I can hardly sit still.
Well, that's what I was going to do, and I may still do it, for those who aren't listening to this, but that I was just going to post that Q post and say, do you see a dot here to connect with any other dot?
Oh, yeah. I love that. I think you should, BZ. I think that's awesome.
Because that's what it's about, it's, and we're going to have another conversation that goes really deep into this, but each being is their own filter and sorter and sifter and flowing with. And actually, I was going to say a little while ago, before you had pointed out about the questions, that it's what's occurring is a really good way. You've heard the phrase that, you're a creator being. You are 100% responsible, accountable, and liable. Now, when that falls on linear ears, oftentimes the responsible has a punitive ring to it, because you're responsible for the death of, you're responsible, blah, 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 right? Because that's the way we think. And reliable, 100% responsible, accountable, and reliable to what's going on. So when you look at that from a broader perspective, you actually see that if you're in that dance of your multidimensionality, you absolutely are 100% of all of those things, because you create it, because it's your universe, because you are the driver, the genesis of it happening.
Right.
So there's nothing punitive about it. It's, hey, cool, it's just what you do. It can't be any other way. But it just, brings it through. So again, now in real time, people are starting to actually see that happening. They can't help but notice it.
Well, yeah, that's another one of those. I'm glad you brought that up in that way. Because, yeah, when you hear the responsible, accountable, and liable for all of your actions, it does. And the reason is more of that programming and conditioning, like you're saying. So, and it's also a matter of perspective. So again, with taking the idea of panning out to a more expanded view, yeah, and I think, see, I can't, I'm being awfully giddy a lot lately, because all of this just is so delicious. Mm-hmm. I finally get the whole delicious thing, by the way. Okay. I get all of that, because it just really is so delicious. Once
it's cosmically delicious.
I and words.
T-shirt.
Oh, I really want to know how to do that. I love that. I'm taking it.
So that's why, response able. That's what it's really about. So you're able, willing, able, and creative to do that response to something. And liable, right? So are you going to lie? Are you going to be able? Are you going to let it rest? So break that down. And I don't mean in a dictionary and derivation and yada, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm talking energetics, the energetics of it. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I have to say that since I started looking at all this stuff for myself, about myself and all of that, since I started ruthlessly looking at all of my actions and why and all of that, right? If you are willing enough to go to a little bit more expansive place and look at everything from that more expansive place, this is what happened for me anyway. I can clearly see, we've discussed all this before, every single thing that I've created, and whether I wanted to be liable for it or not, because I don't want to be or whatever, you are.
Right.
Yeah.
And you are, and if you're not like consciously shifting the way you view and handle things like that, then is when it's punitive, because it can be no other way. I mean, that's just the way it is, it seems. And we set all of that up for ourselves. So
Yeah, well, and it's absolutely, I mean, there's no mistake, it's cosmically delicious.
Yes.
Because it's what we do. It's how we do it. You know? And by our design. So to get back to kind of to tie all of this in, why I separated out these words, why I had the thought to go down this path, is that when we as I was doing with this conversation in the metaphor I was relaying, you know, where this connection was pulling the lens. You know, we were on the dolly, the cameras on the big, you know, motion picture cameras on the dolly. We were backing up, and you could see we're pulling back for a wide angle shot on the scene. And then the light, again, whether the person would use multidimensional, all those words, it doesn't matter, because they're there. They don't need a vocabulary because the energy is there. So then you can see it happening. And when you see it happening, it actually takes everything to a whole new level. Again, they may not understand, as Sheila says right up here, they may not understand to be able to describe it, but they get it on the resonance feeling, the energetic feeling. And you know, they're standing next to me and they can have different conversations, so they can always come and ask more, but they will ask.
Right.
Because I'm not selling anything.
No, that's right. And I will say something else too. Even if they don't get it right at that moment, it's that seed was planted, and they are going to noodle. What was that I experienced with BZ when she's asking me these questions? Right. And, you know, so even if they don't in that moment,
right.
It's, because I've seen that too. I have seen that, even, you know, just by not saying very much at all on my part, because I don't do that anymore like I used to, because I used to.
Well, and I mean, more accurate for me to describe it when they get it, that they get it. So it's the seed, you could say, yes.
Oh, I see.
But it lands, not only does it land, but it sprouts roots, and it's got, you know, its first leaves pop up all at once, even if they can't describe it, but they can feel, they have a knowing, and they wouldn't know to describe it as a knowing, but that's what happened. It's, you know,
I gotcha.
it's rooting in there, and you can't take it out.
No.
And it's this self-replicatingness, which is really cool, because again, that's another example of your multidimensionality showing. So that knowing seed, and in this example, it just happened to be with, you know, something bad happening, right? Mm-hmm. That knowing seed is planted, and it self-replicates, so that anytime they now have any other conversation with anyone, it's doing the same thing. It's because they have their how do I describe this? I can see this really cool video that's going on. So you drop the seed, and you can, you know, you've seen pictures where there's the above ground and then there's a below ground, so you can see what's happening. So it's like maybe like a characterization or a cartoon of what's, you know, animation of what's going on. Right. So you drop the seed, the knowing how you can see all the stuff sprouting, and you can see the top sprouting. And like a bean seed, or when you plant any kind of legume like that, has little nodules on the roots, which actually, when they get with growth, they might hit a rock, they'll burst, and they're self-feeding. So nitrogen is released and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I say that it's a self-perpetuating little seed, because now it's in their system, which is triggering all sorts of other decoding to come out and work itself out. So they're doing all of it. It's, you know, nobody's injecting or this, all the days of that kind of stuff is gone. But just as kind of trying to describe what's actually happening in a visual way in each of us, although many had happened a long time ago, in what's happening right now in different people, and that's how it's expanding.
Right. It's actually very much why I feel like Magenta Pixie is absolutely correct when she says that we are all absolutely necessary.
Yes.
Yes. And that is why. That, what you just described right there, is exactly why every single one of us are necessary and right where we're supposed to be. So everybody needs to like take a breath.
Well, more than necessary, essential.
Yes.
Integral.
Yes.
Right? You know, all the missing links, all of the interwoven connections, all the parts of the tapestry. So how many more words do we need to come up with until you get it? But, you know, that's really what's going on. Yeah. And everybody is doing it. And there are, you know, you said everybody's exactly where they're supposed to be. Yes, absolutely. And they're doing things. Now, are they doing all that they agreed to do? Are they doing all, and to the expansiveness and to the funness and to the deliciousness? Maybe not at this moment. And that's okay. No, it's not even okay. It's really as it should be, because that's the way it's fun, because they, each of the theys, are the orchestrator and the director and the flow conductor, we'll say, of how and the speed and whatever that they're doing things.
Right.
If someone wanted to be fatouste about something, oh, I'm not doing that, I feel I should be doing, you know, and go down that whole guilty thing. Okay, good. If you want to play with that, great. Don't wallow there, but play with that and kind of look and examine it and see what's going on. But you realize too that every moment that you can just kind of feel like there's a choice. Remember back from a long time ago, I haven't said this in ages, choosing, right? So am I choosing for the open heart, or am I choosing for the closed heart and then the small linear mind and all that kind of stuff? And just make a different choice, because that's where all the things can blossom. And you can go from 0 to 600,000 in the blink of an eye. You know, you can go to, I'm not doing anything, to, right? It's at the right moment, and it unfolds from within you. That's that seed sprouting in all those nodules. So one little, you know, again, in that example was a bean, you know, nodule, you know, popping, and the nitrogen, so that fertilizer comes out. That's it. And then all of a sudden, not only are you just one little bean sprout, you're a whole acre of bean plants we're harvesting the beans, and, you know, we're inviting everyone over for dinner, and, you know, again, as a metaphor for it. And that's how it works, because it's continually happening that way. So nothing's wrong. You're not late. And if you play in that for an appreciable amount of time, then you can go, oh, okay, I see what I'm doing. I'm playing small. Because, you know, a kick-ass creator being is never late and never worried about this. And I got it. Okay, great. So let me, you know, play with that a bit more, polish it up, whatever it is, take it out to the trash, however you want to use, you know, the different metaphors for it. So it's all an opportunity for it, because it's all an opportunity to paint a canvas. You're not worrying that the canvas is expensive and I don't want to put a mark on the paper because, you know, like, it's got to be a good painting. You don't need any of that. You just make a mark and then another dash, and You drop a crayon on the floor and you slip with your foot on it and you go, well, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. You know, that's what we're doing because we're creating this. And so someone says, well, how does it end? Or how does the trial end? Or what's it going to be? Or when is it going to be finished? Or we're creating it all right this moment. And yes, there is a plan to trust. And yes, but it's not set in stone. Why? Because we're all creator beings. And actually we have, this is just a wild guess, which is wholly inaccurately stated, we have changed that plan a quadrillion million times already. And we will keep doing it. Why? Because we keep making it better and getting it better. And the result and the fruition and what's unfolding is so much more cosmically delicious and orgasmically fantastic than it ever was when we originally conceived it. Now, that doesn't mean that, okay, we'll keep changing our mind so it's moving the goalpost. No, it's not like that. Because that's a linear thing.
Yeah, I can feel that myself now. Well, my multidimensionality is showing all over the place. Yepper. Yeah. This has been such a great conversation, and I know, again, I it's on the linear mindset to say, and by the way, so you've had experience with fires. I happen to know that it's Lisa and I here in North Carolina that are dealing with the floods and breakdowns. Well, there's all sorts of them happening everywhere you look.
Right.
But and I know it sounds, some that are still stuck in the linear, I'm damn excited about all of it.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
It is. It really is. And it feels fabulous. And, you know, no, I haven't won the lottery. Yes, I'm still poor. Yeah, yes, I don't, you know, nothing actually on the linear has changed, you know, at all. But it doesn't really matter. Because I'm not, okay. Well, in my everyday, day-to-day, the thing that has changed is moi.
Yes.
And that is all. That is all, ladies and germs. That is it. There's nothing else.
But that's everything.
No, that's right. It is it is everything. Right. And that's kind of my point. Right. That's the point to it all.
Right. And I do want to make a point here, programming note. So,
well, speak up then, because we can't hear you.
Okay, I want to make a programming note. That's why the title of this video, you know, floods, fires, breakdowns, oh my, right? Because when these things are happening, if they're happening to you, or you notice, and as we're talking about, you can see, hey, that's really a good thing because you can see the multidimensionality. You might be having the conversation with someone who's had that happen, and you can, you know, help get the seed, the knowing, and so on and so forth. The energies, I think everybody's pretty much aware of this, but since we clicked over from July to August, okay, not only from 1 month to the next, from the night of the 31st to the morning of the 1st, but every moment has gone. So I should say every moment has gone and will continue to go, because as everything is unfolding and we keep, you know, as I say, make that plan grander and grander and grander and just more absolutely fantastical and delicious. We are also in this flow right this moment because everybody will feel it different ways. We're in this flow right this moment, which is an energetic threshing. You know, if you have a wheat, okay? So an energetic threshing.
Mm-hmm.
And hence the floods and the fires and the breakdowns, oh my, okay? And so when you don't understand, you know, why can't I need help from someone. I just want to talk to this person, and I don't understand, you know, what's wrong with them? Why won't they talk to me? What's all of this? What's going on? Okay, I got it. In my own backyard, the light bulb went on something today. So they're interruptus. So cosmically delicious interruptus is happening in the example, the metaphor of the phone conversation and not connecting, because there has to be that field that opens up. So you've actually, each being, whether they know it or not, and again, phone is just an example, phone not answering, or they're never home when I go to see them, whatever, it's all different things, right? That field has been created to hold you at bay from however it's showing up as a metaphor for you.
Right.
So on the one hand, it's holding the person who's frustrated and saying they're never home. You know, they said they'd be home, or try me in the afternoon. I know I'll be home from work, and they're not there, right? So not only is there an interruptus of that, but there is great deliciousness in being held at bay. So you're being held. On the one, you could say you're being held, and it's, you know, I don't want that. I want to go there, and why won't they let me? And what, you know, but you're also being held. Have you ever had an experience where someone is upset, and on one level you can tell they really want comfort, but they say or kind of put out body language they don't want comfort, and you just grab and hold on to them. No, I don't, you know, don't want, don't be nice, I don't, whatever they say is right, and you just hold them. Because in that holding them, you surround them, and you, until the squirming stops, until the resistance stops, and it's their own resistance to themselves stops, and they just, and they let whatever has been going on from just subside, just wash out, just stream out. And so Source is holding each being, each one of us in different ways, in that metaphor, just holding at bay. So you could say at bay from what we want, but holding so that we'll just quiet for a moment and ease up for a moment and let go of the fight of the flow for a moment. And I use those all, or given those all specifically to use, because they actually are great metaphors. They're also very specific energetic frequencies around the opening of that. It's actually the cracking of the shell on your heart that is occurring right now. If you have not gotten to, if you haven't, you know, chose the easy path or the, you know, less
intense
clusterfuck path.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's breaking the shell. And why is this such an exciting thing? Why, even if you maybe don't cognize why it's an exciting thing, that you may be feeling that? Be couplefold, and this is a linear only characterization of it. It's much bigger than this, but because it means that we're so far down the flow in the path and the expansion that we're like a pine cone scene, we're going through the fire so that we can germinate, right? In this before because we're all doing this, we let that big flow, that event horizon flow come and wash over us. Is that when you plant a garden, right? You turn up the soil, you make everything right, everything's smooth, you plant the seed, and some need different things to get the germination that germinates, and then you water it in. So there's a wash of energy, there's a wash of vitality, there's a wash of nourishment. Well, that's, I kind of just laid out the steps of what's going, because now we're moving that, in the big set. And when that comes by our design, not somebody out there's design, not because the date's right or you're standing in the middle of the right 5-lane highway and you can see it
with one leg up and
right.
The high sign and
right.
Yeah, no, I got
when
you.
that comes, if you haven't had that hug, that holding, if you haven't had that opportunity where those cracks can be nicked on the cover you've put on the heart, right? Then this physical vessel can't make that transition through. But here's the beautiful part. Even if you only have an infinitesimal, by the highest magnification, microscope that you're looking at, crack, you're golden. So that's what's going on. That's what the fires and the floods and all that kind of stuff is going on, whether they're, literal, metaphoric, in the environment, in your neighborhood, in your backyard, right in your own house. Yeah. And it really calls for celebration.
Yes, it really is. That's why I think I'm so I always say about questioning stuff, because in that holding that you're describing, if one just asked a question, why is this, and feel into what that is, there's information there. There's
tons of it.
Tons.
In fact, you're going to say, well, wait a minute, I can't write fast enough, I can't listen, I can't decode, I can't take it in yet.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of operable intel in that, in just asking oneself, well, why is this happening? And not be, well, so and so and so and so. No, I'm sorry, folks, that's just not the way it is. There's something else in here, actually. And when we stop doing that, and I think a lot of folks are at that point. A lot of folks that there are still lots of out there probably that aren't yet. It will be. That focus and attention that we put on just sitting with that question of, removing all the other reasons you might want to blame for someone else or whatever, and just asking that simple question and being really quiet and giving all the focus and attention to listening to the internal being of what might come up. Doesn't matter what it is, don't judge it as it comes up either. But if it's something outside of oneself, then go back in, because until you get to the one where it's not out there, you're not in the right place. Or at least that's been the way for me. If that's where you want to stop, okay. Expect to be held there for a while. That's the way I look at it for myself.
Well, not in August, that won't happen, but you're absolutely right. So a couple things I'll jump in and say. So you say, listen, quiet, kind of. So to pull back to a video a long time ago when Sheila was saying, well, but described a whole thing in a playing that we exercise we were doing. And then I said, that's true. And she said, well, I don't see anything, although she's just given us a whole description of what. So when Sheila says, be quiet and listen, I would add to that, with all of you. All of your senses, all of your energetic knowing, all of your feeling, all of every, you could call it listening, you could call it whatever, you don't have to meditate, you can meditate, you can be asleep, you don't have to be asleep, you can go hug a tree, whatever works for you, don't limit yourself. And, so put quotes around it and go, when she says just be quiet and listen, so just go be quiet or be still or whatever, and go like this and put whatever you want in there.
Well, you're right. I will say this. Actually, I had a really huge, I know we've talked about this before. It's not, so it's not like I hadn't heard it. But as I was doing one of my musics the other day, I really got it. We've talked about these energetic envelopes that we do, right? And I've felt that. I know others have too. But I was trying to describe what I was viewing, and it dawned on me, oh wow, I've never been able to take a picture that has done justice to what I was viewing. See, why I had to do it like that, because I finally really got it, that as I was viewing, or I was actually experiencing my backyard. I wasn't just viewing it. I was hearing it. I was feeling it.
You were
I was experiencing it. What?
You were it.
Well, yes. And so that is something that I can't just, I won't say I can't ever. I just, at this point, I don't have the capability yet of sharing with another what I am experiencing in that moment.
Right.
And it really finally sunk in to me that the listening, the subtlety that Lisa used to say to me, that's really what it is. Yes, I know. How long? I never said I was the brightest bulb in the box, nor the sharpest knife in the drawer.
That was for Lisa, because she had the audacity to deign to talk about the subtlety. So I was doing that for you, Sheila. The subtlety.
Well, in all fairness, she's been telling me about subtleties for a while.
Yeah.
And to me, who is not at all usually very subtle.
Yeah, well, you got it now.
No, yes, I've got it now, boy. I'll tell you what, I sure do. And that's why I said, since I really got it, when we talk about our being a transmitter and receiver, that really, the enormity of what that really means finally actually permeated throughout all of my being. Sorry. That feeling just now, oh my word. Woo! Oh, wow. I hope this energetic envelope is something everybody can feel. Oh, that's been happening to me a lot. The excitement in my body right now is about, I can't hardly take the deliciousness of all of this. It's, okay, I'm sorry. Oh, wow. Okay, sorry about that. Wow. Cool.
Whatever she's
Well, it's funny because I've been trying to quietly go through what you've been doing because it's getting bigger and bigger, over here. And I was thinking, well, there's one other programming that I wanted to put in here, but I'm not certain I really care because I'm so way up there right now. This minute.
I know.
I'm holding the dragon, and but anyways, I was going to say, go back to, there was 2 points I wanted to make. So one was on the listening. And then, Sheila, you had mentioned that, about the out there, if you're blaming this. So absolutely valid to do that. It's great. There's great deliciousness in there. Absolutely. And what you're creating when you do that is maybe not a flood, but a hurricane, metaphorically or factually, or an ice flow, or, all sorts of things, because you're diving for more richness to mine more stuff from it to bring it back for you. So you can shift and deflect and, obfuscate all you want. Great, go for it. Yeah, because you get an even bigger, jonesing out of it. Well, you may not think that that's the case at the time, but when you get, on the other side, you go, whoa, right? But making it, it's not, it's not like it used to be where you can say, well, they did it and then hold that or whatever, it festers or good. No, because right in the next nanosecond, it's right there. So you may move from floods and fires and, breakdowns, oh my, and then you may start on the refrain of the song, and add a few more choruses to come with it. So again, it's, and however you create it is great. But realize that that's where we are right now. Because why? Because you wrote it that way. Because you've orchestrated that way. Because you've connected it that way. And it's all good.
Yep. It's all good. Or at least it is from the seat of... So, do either one of you have anything else you'd like to add to this one?
Except that Keegan's riding on these energy, and I can't turn the camera to see, but he's over in the corner like this with this big smile on his face. He's just riding the energies upside down.
Well, I'm telling you, I don't blame him. Because if he's floating in this energetic envelope with me and the two of you, I'm telling you. Whoa. I mean, it really has been such a wow. Okay. Yeah, the language does not do it justice. Okay, so nothing else to add, either of you? All right, well, all the usual things will be in all the usual places. And I would actually love to hear from everyone who does partake of this energetic envelope and can definitely feel these energetics. What are you experiencing? Let's talk about it.
Come play.
Till next time.
Mm-hmm.